So when we talk about making a business plan for ourselves, there's a lot of different ways to do it. We have had people approach our company and, you know, give us this 20-page plan where you talk about your 5-year goals and things like that. With my experience in real estate, it's not very helpful. Planning 5 years out is really difficult in an industry that changes as much as ours does, because, like, for example, when I started, I went from a job where I was making, I don't know, $45,000 a year, I think I was. Well, that had been my professional job. I'd actually been a mortgage lender. Anyways, first of all, real estate's completely different from other jobs. So we don't have this steady income. And I went from 1 year, my very first year, making, I don't know, $20,000 in real estate, to my second year, close to $100,000. And how do you plan 5 years out when you're jumping like that? There's some big changes that happen. And so what I want to focus on more is how you treat it like a business, all right? And I do a lot of other trainings that talk about that, and so they're going to tie in here. And as we're watching today's trainings, I'm going to reference those other ones. And if you haven't seen them yet and you're wanting to make a business plan this week, then you can go to my YouTube channel. Just go to YouTube and put in Elite Agent Training, all as one word, and you can subscribe there. And then you can see some of the other videos that I have. But I'm going to start today with a quote from Jim Rohn. If you don't design your own life plan, chances are you'll fall into someone else's plan. And guess what they have planned for you? Not much. It's very, very true. People are obviously concerned with their own lives. That's natural. And when they've taken charge of their life, but you haven't taken charge of yours, and especially in this industry where we're self-employed, so we don't have to be anywhere at any specific time, and we have clients that can be very needy, we can end up either not working at all, or we could end up working 24/7. Okay, but it could potentially get ugly for us either way. So one of the first things that we do is set goals. Any business is going to set goals, and I have several trainings that talk about that. But if we're going to make a business plan, we need to have a target that we're shooting for. And I'm going to suggest 2 targets. What do you want to make, and what do you have to make? To me, there's a subtle difference in how I feel. I want to make is kind of a dreamer thing. You know what? It'd be really cool if I made $100,000 a year in real estate. You know, especially when I'm coming from a job where I made $45,000 with a college degree. I mean, I could double my income. That would be awesome, right? What do you have to make? Well, if I don't make at least $60,000, then I got to go get another job. I got to do something else. This career isn't working for me if I don't make at least $60,000. Okay? I've had agents join me and they say, I've got to make $100,000 in my first year, or my wife's going to make me get a different job. And I'm like, okay, let's go do it then. There is a way to do that, but it takes a lot of work. So knowing what you want to make and what you have to make are 2 different things, but we kind of keep our eye on them. Next, we're going to need some information that are key to those goals. What's the average sales price in your market last year? And that's something that you can do with some simple research with the MLS. You could ask your broker. That's an easy bit of information for you to have. And what percentage of clients that you got actually closed? And if you're a brand new agent, you don't have this information, I would say plan on roughly 50%. Okay, that's shooting low, but if you want to make a reasonable goal, half of your clients that you actually sign on will close with you. There's reasons for that. If you sign on sellers, sometimes they don't have the equity. Sometimes the sale fell. Sometimes they just change their mind. They can't find a good house to move to. One of the problems in today's market, I've got a seller that won't pull the trigger until he can get a lot, and he can't find a lot because they're all gone so fast. So, you know, that kind of stuff happens, and it makes a deal die because you can't move forward. Sometimes buyers make stupid decisions. They go out and buy a brand new $60,000 truck the week before they're supposed to close. So not all your clients will close. So if you're a brand new agent, then plan on about a 50% ratio of people that sign on with you, either an exclusive seller agreement or exclusive buyer agreement, that they're not going to happen for whatever reason. If you are an experienced agent, then hopefully you're tracking this information, and it will probably be higher for you, but for the sake of our plan, we're going to go worst case scenario. All right. Now, in making your goals, I'm referencing a training on affirmations, which is becoming your best you. So you can go to my YouTube channel and you can look up that Becoming Your Best You training and watch that. The reason why I want you to watch that is because when you make your goals, they need to be goals that match your vision of what you want to accomplish in life. Because I'm sitting here and I'm going to play with the $100,000 a year number in the goals that we talk about. Because for most people, that's a fairly liberating number. Once you're making $100,000 a year, you're usually not terribly stressed about finances. You're paying your bills just fine. You have vacation money, and you can start to, look at different marketing venues, things like that. So I kind of set that as our basic goal with most of the trainings that I do. And we can get you there comfortably if you're actually putting into action these trainings as well. However, you'll find that you undermine yourself a lot if you have things that are holding you back, okay? And there's conscious and subconscious beliefs that we talk about in that training of Becoming Your Best You. But one of the best ways that we can address that and decide what it is we truly want is to take a moment and decide who we want to be. And that's what our affirmations are. It's not looking in a mirror and saying, I'm beautiful and everybody loves me. It's looking in the mirror and saying, this is the type of person that I want to be. And you put it in the present tense, and I've got all kind of the formula in that training for Becoming Your Best You. But you need to do that, because when you do that and you say, I'm going to make $100,000 this year, and this is the car I'm going to drive, and this, but it goes beyond that. And that's where a lot of vision boards stop. It's one of the reasons I'm not a huge fan of vision boards, is because they usually focus a lot on material possessions. But when you're focusing on your best you, then it involves all the other things. So this is the relationship I want to have with my spouse. This is the relationship I want to have with my children or grandchildren. This is the relationship I want to have with my neighborhood and community. This is where I want to be at in regards to my faith or charity or service. All of those things, that's a more complete picture of who you want to be. And if your goals don't take any of that into account, then you're going to create stumbling blocks for yourself. You're going to you're going to block your own progress. Okay? For example, if I say that, and I focus all my attention on just the financial goals, so I'm going to make $100,000 this year, and I'm speaking from my own life experience, okay? Before I had ever done that, that was a huge amount of money to me. To me, that was wealth. I'm going to make $100,000. At the same time, I had in the back of my mind, I'd never really put it out there, but I had in the back of my mind, this is who I want to be as a husband and as a father. And that was my priority. I would not be happy making a bunch of money and losing my family in the process. But what I found myself doing as I'm pushing forward towards the first year that I ever made $100,000 is I found myself not making a regular date night with my wife. And I found myself missing important milestones for my kids. And it came to a point where my wife came to me and said, this isn't the life that I imagined. This isn't what we signed up for as a family, to have you gone all the time. And so what I had done in having this focus up here of $100,000 a year is I had started to sacrifice other things that were important to me. Okay? And it actually went on for a couple of years. And what happened was I could never really break past that $100,000 barrier. I was a 96 one year, 104 after that, maybe 108 after that, but I got stuck there because I knew that if I worked any harder, I would be losing my family. Okay? So when you do the affirmations, you have a complete picture of who you want to become. And the interesting thing is it liberated me so that I was able to prioritize time for my family and not sacrifice that time. And I actually increased my income by 50% the first year that I did that. I actually cut my hours like 35 hours a week and increased my income 50% by having clear goals that address my whole life. So when you talk about goals, before you just step into this as a business and make your own goals, I want you to go visit this other training and make sure that your goals encompass everything about your life. Okay, because then you won't be setting these roadblocks up for yourself, blocking your own progress. All right? Okay, so these are the numbers we're going to play with today. Have to make at least 100,000, or my goal is 100,000, but I have to make at least 60, which is half of that. So 24 transactions a year in a market with about $150,000 price tags, which is low, but a lot of the homes in our, well, they're not that low anymore, but in some of our markets on the northern end of Utah, the more rural areas, that's reasonable. And again, I'm shooting low on all of these numbers so that anybody out there could look at this and say, yeah, I could do that. All right, 50% client fallout ratio, that seems really high. I can do better than that. And you probably can, but I want to show how you can make it even with these numbers. Okay, if you had to close 24 deals a year to make 100,000, then the average house size would be at about 150,000. 60,000 would be 13 transactions a year. All right, so these are the numbers that we're going to play with today. So step one in getting there and making our business plan. We've now got our goals in front of us, and they're a complete set of goals. It's not just our financial number, the 100,000 or the 60,000. We've got a clear picture of what we want out of life. Okay, now what we need to do is determine what resources we have. Now, some of our biggest resources is time, okay? Time and a commitment level. So we do a training that talks about this called our Ideal Week training. And what we do in that training is we get a blank calendar. So what I did is I went back to like the year 2000 or something, where I, hadn't been keeping anything, and I just printed out a weekly calendar with half-hour slots. I can't remember what program I used to do it. Anyways, it was the entire 7-day weeks with half-hour time slots blocked out. And then what I did is I determined which hours of the day were going to be dedicated to real estate. And since I had a complete set of goals in front of me, I said, you know what? And Monday night is going to be family night because it's important to take time with my kids. Friday night is going to be date night. And I just set all of these out, and then when clients said, hey, can we go showings Friday night? I'd be like, oh, you know what, I've got another appointment, but I could go Friday afternoon or I could go Saturday morning. Which one of those times works for you, okay? And I started to take control back of my life. So the Ideal Week training is one that if you're not sure how to do this, you need to visit that training in order to do your homework for today in really creating a business plan, okay? Creating a business plan can be a little bit time consuming, but it's what we're building our business around. So it's okay for you to pause and go and watch another training video to make sure you have a concept of how to do this, okay? But figure out what hours you're going to dedicate to real estate. When is your start time? When is your stop time? And you need to do this because I tell everybody, clients and agents, that my start time's 9 o'clock at night, my end time is around 7 p.m. at night, okay? If somebody calls me at 8 p.m., if it's an emergency, I can take that call, all right? But that's an exception to my rule. Most of the time, when agents call me at 8:30 at night, I let it go to voicemail. And if an agent has a problem with that, then I have to sit down with them and I say, look, you have to have balance in your life and I have to have balance in my life. Okay, and 8:30 at night, that's fine if you have a question and I can return that call at 9 o'clock in the morning. But if I make it a habit of taking calls till 9 or 10 o'clock at night, then I've basically given my life away, okay? There's certain things that I'm giving up that aren't worth it, all right? And I have had, in the course of now 12 years of being a broker for nearly 100 agents plus for 12 years, I've had, I think, 2 agents that had a problem with that. And they said, you need to be available for me 24/7. And I said, good luck finding that out of anybody. And you're welcome. And I'll sign your change card today if you want. Okay. But you have to be able to stand up for yourself in basically protecting your lifestyle. Okay. Because again, like we talked about in that quote, people really just think about themselves. And sometimes that means that they ask major sacrifices of you that maybe you shouldn't be willing to give. All right. And it's okay. I think in that time, I've also lost 2 clients in 12 years. That's all I can think of. 2 clients in 12 years that would absolutely not work within my parameters that I set. You know, for example, I take Sundays off. Okay, I'll work 6 days a week, but I take Sundays off. And if somebody says, that's not good enough for me, you got to work Sundays, I say, great, I've got another agent I'll refer you to. And I'll get a referral fee out of it. But really, most people, when you take a stance, most people will, I don't know what it is, but somebody that's firm in their resolve, people will work around. It's like you make an island of yourself and everybody else just kind of flows around you. But it's kind of rare for people to be strong in their position of what they want in life. And at the same time, when I started doing this was all part of that exercise where I increased my income by 50%. And it's counterintuitive. You would think that if I started making a stand and not being available 24/7, that I would actually lose business. And it was exactly the opposite of that. I think people actually respected me more as a professional. I got so many more referrals from my clients when I set these expectations. So that's step 1. Determine your time, starting time, stopping time. What kind of a budget do you have? What are your resources that you have available? For most brand new agents, we don't have much. We've got a budget. A lot of times, our budget is nothing. Okay, we spend everything we got trying to get into the business, and that's where I started. I was broke. Okay. The hours that I had each day, a lot of people are working another job, and so they're very limited in the hours they have to do with real estate. And this becomes even more important that you identify those hours and treat them as sacred, so that because you are so limited, you've got to give them everything that you've got. Okay, so if you're not sure on this, watch the Ideal Week training because it will help you very much with your primary resources, which is your time. All right. Next, we want to determine our key activities. And again, that Ideal Week training will help you with this. But some of them are prospecting, marketing, appointments, education, self-improvement, daily planning. These are some of the key activities that are going to be a part of our business. And again, if you watch the Ideal Week training, you'll see how you can calendar those into that available time slot that you have. So all of that will be part of your business plan. Step 3 is determining your budget. Okay, I recommend setting aside, and most experts that I've seen recommend setting aside 10% for yourself. All right, so when you're, and that's savings. It's set aside. It's building up a pad in the background. All right, pay yourself first the 10%. Then determine what kind of a budget you want to have for marketing. So say you are making $6,000 a month. How much are you going to spend on marketing? Because I have agents come to me saying, hey, have you ever heard of this program? What about this program? What about this website? And they're throwing money at a whole bunch of different things, but they're not tracking it. They're just hoping that something gives them money back. And you need to approach it more business-like. You need to say, all right, last month I had $5,000 in income. I'm committed to 10% of that to my marketing budget, so I'm going to take $500 for marketing. And that's all I've got. And so that's going to go towards some newsletters, and that's going to go towards maybe I'm going to give a calendar out or order magnetic business cards, or whatever I'm going to do. 10% of my budget is for marketing. Okay, it could be my website, but you need to track your expenses. All of this is part of being a responsible business owner. Track your expenses and track your budget for those things. And as you have more closings, your budget grows. If you don't have closings, then don't go out and spend money that you don't have. All right? Now, you do have some resources available to help you. First of all, there's the brokerage resources. We provide you with a free website. Make sure you're utilizing that to its full advantage. There's some great tools in there. We had one of our agents give a training at my meeting on Tuesday that I held in my office, where he's been using the website, and he taught me a few things. There's some great resources with that free website that I think most agents are only scraping the tip of the iceberg with what they're utilizing for that. That works as a mobile app on your phone. I've got some other great agents that came up and said, I don't know how to use that mobile app. Does it even work? And I'm like, yeah, here's how it is. And I mean, there's a lot of resources that agents, even great agents, aren't really utilizing that are available and free for you. Extra marketing things or transaction coordinators. Those are different services that our branches offer in different areas that you can plug into for a relatively inexpensive cost and build your business off of it. So just being aware of the resources that you have in your office, and you can talk to your broker and you can spend some time on the Elevate site, but there's a lot of things that are available for you. Next is the lender. If you form a partnership with a mortgage lender, then you can split all of your marketing fees with them. That's what they allow under RESPA. So if I'm going to do a postcard campaign and it's going to cost me $100, well, if I put a lender on there, now it only costs me $50. I get all the same coverage, and it doesn't detract at all from the marketing I'm sending out, because a lot of times people have questions on mortgages that go hand in hand with whether or not they can buy or sell real estate. So you can basically double your effectiveness by finding a good mortgage lender to partner with. And we talk about that kind of stuff with the Power Team. And if you involved other professionals, as we discussed in our Power Team training, then you can further amplify your limited resources. So if I've got 12 different people on my Power Team, and it's not costing us anything, but we all come up with some kind of client-centered promotion, and 12 of us are every client that we interact with. Let's say that, you know, my lender's talking to so many people, and I've got a general contractor, and I've got a plumber, and I've got a CPA, and they're all talking to different people, and all of them say, oh, by the way, here's some other related resources that might help you out. Anyways, there's a lot of extra marketing that you can get through that venue. And again, for more information on that, you can go to the Power Team training. So not only be aware of your budget, but be aware of things that can help you stretch your budget in pretty powerful ways. All right, step 4 is tracking your activities and results. We've got a goal of 100,000. How many calls do you make on a daily basis? Okay. Out of those calls, how many appointments do you generate? Out of those appointments, how many clients actually sign with you? And out of those clients, how many closings do you actually get? So what we're doing now is we've got this goal that we made, and we're backing it out to activities I can do today. Because it's one thing for me to wake up and look at a vision board and see $100,000 there, and it's another thing for me to wake up, look at a vision board, see $100,000, and see an exact plan of what I need to do right now in order to get that. And that's what we're going to create for ourselves as part of our business plan. And I'm going to share some forms with you here in how we can do that. All right? And step 5 is once we've planned that and tracked everything, then we can make an adjustment to our goals. All right? And tracking things helps us face the truth about ourselves. For a lot of us, that truth is, I'm not really working hard enough. Okay? I get to the end of the day and I feel like I've worked really hard, but once I started tracking it, I'm only talking to 5 people a day. That is not enough. Okay? So once you know that hard truth and you face that reality, then you can start to make business decisions saying, I need to change what I'm doing. Okay, I need to find different ways to talk to people, different venues, maybe a different time. And so go back to your ideal week and say, you know what, making a whole bunch of phone calls at 11 o'clock in the morning when everybody's gone to work and can't talk to me may be convenient for my schedule, but it's not getting the results that I need. And so you make an adjustment to your ideal week plan. because obviously talking to 5 people a day isn't ideal for growing your business. So you make a change to your ideal week plan, put that into effect. But a lot of people, when they're not doing step 4 of tracking their results, and then step 5 of honestly looking at those, at the tracking, and then making business decisions about how to improve on that, if you're not doing those 2 things, then you're not acting like a business person. Every successful business out there tracks what they do and the results that it gives them. All right? They don't spend money without tracking a return on investment. Even those crappy late night infomercials. Tell them Bill sent you. The reason they do that is so that they can track if that ad that they're running that says tell them Bill sent you is actually generating any kind of a return on investment. So, you know, your local grocery store, they count their tills every night. Okay, they do inventory to track their losses that they're having on inventory. Every business does this, but do you? So when you're making a business plan, do you have some kind of system set up that allows you to see what your reality is? Because a lot of us get caught up in, I did a training on Tuesday where we get kind of locked in a box, and we don't really clearly see our reality that's going on. And because of that, we might get to the end of the day and think, wow, I'm exhausted. I worked really, really hard today. But when you look at your numbers and you talk to 5 people, that's the reality. So you go back through your day and you said, what did I do? Did I really stick to my schedule? Did I stick to my ideal week plan? Do I even have an ideal week plan? For some of us, it may actually mean that we ease up, okay? I know real estate agents that are burning the candle at both ends, and it's not healthy, and it's not great for families, and it's not great for kids and their relationship with their parents, and maybe you're making great money. But this is where it all comes back to your affirmations and your goals. And so if you just have financial goals, then it's easy to miss this need to ease up. But if you have goals that encompass your whole life view, then you can look at it and say, you know what, I'm making $300,000 a year, but I don't have a relationship with my wife. And I need to scale back 20, 30 hours a week and take care of my partner. You know, I wouldn't be here without her. She's an amazing lady. There's a reason we're together, but I am not nurturing that relationship. Okay? Now, it seems weird for a real estate coach or trainer to tell you to take time off of work, but I can tell you that if you've got conflicts at home, it bleeds over into your work. So if you've got a happy life at home, you're going to be more successful at work too. So, face the truth. Am I working too much? Do I need to take a leap of blind faith and actually set hours? Because I know there's people out there listening to me that when I said that I don't answer the phone before 9 o'clock and I stop answering it at 7 o'clock, I know there's people listening that are thinking, oh man, that guy's a jerk. I take better care of my clients than that. I will answer my phone anytime. Okay, I know there's people out there. I've heard realtors brag about that. I've heard brokers 40 years in the business brag about how they take calls at 1 o'clock in the morning. Okay, to me that's sad. That's not a bragging point. I'm preaching a little bit here, but what I would like you to do is I would like you to make sure that you have this whole life picture of what you're trying to create. All right? And if you've accomplished your financial objectives, make sure that these other things are getting the attention that they deserve as well. All right. Next is, do I need help? Do I need a coach or a mentor to help me get past some hurdles? Do I need to partner with other agents? Do I need to hire an assistant? Okay, do I go full-time or hire a full-time assistant, a part-time assistant? Do I just use the transaction coordinator that our office provides? This is all part of that evaluation period. All right. Now, what I want to do is I want to take you to these handouts. You'll notice on the webinar panel that I'm providing you with 3 handouts. Please don't email me after this and say, hey, can I get a copy of that? You can get a copy of it right here. Just click on it and you can save it to your computer. I want to show you how I use these as a part of forming a business plan. Oops, excuse me, wrong form. Let's do our oh, no, brought it up. It's just I don't have it in my foreground. There we go. Sorry, let me adjust. I've got 3 different forms I'm going to walk you through here. All right, so you should be looking at what's called a monthly business plan guide. And this is something that, that I've created. You can take it and use it however you want, okay? Start out, put your name at the top, month of May. Let's plan for May. We're going to track our results. So we've got a yearly income goal of $100,000, right? And in order to accomplish that, we need to close 24 transactions a year. In order to close 24 transactions a year, we have to have 2 a month. Since only half of my clients that I get are going to close, I need to have 4 clients a month. In order to get 4 clients a month, let's say that I'm landing half of the clients that I go, half of the appointments that I go on. So these are, again, worst case scenarios. All right, with me, I'm probably landing 95% of the appointments that I go on. But when I was a brand new agent, this was more reasonable. I was more likely to just get half of them, okay? And my closing ratio is a little bit better than this as well. But this is where it was. This is literally my goals the first year that I hit 100,000, okay? And I worked with an agent. Well, I told you that agent that came in and said, I have to make $100,000 in the first year or my wife is going to kill me. And I said, okay, this is going to be our goal, 20 calls a day. And not just calls, but contacts, okay? 20 people that we're actually contacting a day. And so we've got our name up here, and we've got our month of May, and we've got our goals all broken down. So every morning I wake up and I see my goals and I need to make 20 calls a day, all right? So I've got it all right in front of me. Hold on, I've got a question typed in. Do we count visiting a for sale by owner to preview an actual appointment goal? You'll have to decide that for yourself, I think. I don't know that I would. I would consider that part of my contacting, because with my goal, at least with my for sale by owner presentation and my training, I would go there to visit their house and I would try to set up a follow-up appointment later on. So that's what I would count my appointment as, is the follow-up. All right, but you can kind of play with that as you will, and you know, if depending on how you're running your for sale by owner program, if you're actually making a presentation there, then maybe that's what you do. Okay, is you count that as an appointment. All right, so we've got our monthly business plan guide. It's printed out, and you can do this online. You could save these on your computer. You could, I would love to make an app someday that I could just track all of this on an app, and it would say, here's what you need to do today. But right, you could do it old school and just have a 3-ring binder and have your monthly plans right there in front of you, okay? For now, we can set this aside. And what we're going to go to is we're going to go to our daily plan. So this, you should now be looking at, it's called our Amplify My Progress. So this is a form that amps us up. So this is our daily plan. We've got our monthly guide in front of us, and it tells us that we need to make 20 calls or contacts a day in order to reach our goal. So every single morning I wake up, and this is, again, to reference another training that I give you guys, this would be part of the, what's it called? I'm spacing the name of the training. Anyways, it'll come to me in a second. Hold on, somebody typed in something. Somebody asked daily calls, is that 6 days a week? I do it 5 days a week, and then I keep Saturdays open for showings. So 5 days a week, the 20 calls a day. Anyways, this is part of me being an effective manager. Okay, so being an effective CEO was simply creating that other form where, sorry, I've got a whole bunch of different forms floating around on my computer. So being effective CEO was part of that monthly plan. All right, I've got my plan there in front of me, and now I pass the ball to the manager, and the manager takes the ball and runs with it. And what they need to do is they say, all right, the CEO says we've got to get 20 calls in a day. So, but the CEO also says that all of these other things are important. Okay, family's important to him, community's important to him, his kids are important to him. So let's start out with a very clear vision of what we want for the day. So we review our affirmations and our daily goals. Checkbox. Every single day, this should be a part of your business. All right. I know when I was a manager at Walmart, every day we'd gather all the employees at the front of the store and we'd tell them, this is the goal today. You know, if there was business, I mean, obviously you're running business as usual, but they'd have specific targets or tasks that they'd set for each day. All right. So every day, affirmations and daily goals. Every day, exercise. Because feeling good affects everything else that you do. Plan and prioritize your day. If I'm sitting here with this form in front of me, that's what I'm doing. And every day I read or listen to an audio book, and this is part of that self-improvement that it is important. So it could be reading state law. It could be reading a book on business, something like that. But every day I'm reading some of that. So all of these should have a check mark next to them every single day. That's getting your head in the right spot, starting the day off on the right foot. Next, things I'm grateful for. Now I could say I'm grateful for my health, and I could say I'm grateful for my wife, and I could say I'm grateful for my kids. Now, I could run through these 5 things and every day start out with an attitude of gratitude, but I'm going to tell you right now, this does not work very well. All right, just listen 5 things like that. Here's what works. If I'm trying to type in here, let's say I'm grateful for my wife and that she always takes time to listen to me after a hard day. What I want you to do to really get in an attitude of gratitude is I want you to think details. Okay, so when it comes down to health, I want you to start your day in this mindset and say, okay, maybe I go for a walk every day with my friends. Anyways, I want you to be detailed. Take time every day. This is all a part of just being in the right space to run your business the way that you need to do it. Okay, don't start the day off in a mindset of neediness. When you start making your phone calls and you're in a mindset of desperation, I've got to get some business, I've got to get some business, it comes across bad. Okay, it all comes out in your voice, it comes out in your approach. When you focus on these things that you're grateful for, you know, obviously I could put in here, I'm grateful for my job. Okay, opportunities. Okay, grateful for a job. I love the freedom and the opportunities to grow. So when I start out with this right, healthy attitude in my head, and it changes the rest of my business and how I go about my life, all right? Next, I'm going to list the top 20 people that I need to contact that day. All right, names and phone numbers, top 20 people that I'm going to contact. Plan it out in advance. And then I would take this sheet around with me if I'm going on appointments. Maybe I get to my appointment 10 minutes early. Well, I can make a couple of phone calls. All right, maybe an appointment stands me up, and now I've got an extra hour and a half. Guess what? I've got my sheet there. I can make some phone calls. If you're planning ahead and you're organized, you can get this stuff done. You'll make much better use of your time. So it is worth taking the 15 minutes at the start of your day to make this plan. All right, that's one of the things that people struggle with the most, is taking the time to plan. So just go on faith from me, sit down, take the time to plan your morning in advance. Don't just jump on the computer and start working. Because remember, if you don't take the time to plan, again, we got a quote down here from Jim Rohn, either you run the day or the day runs you. If you don't take time to plan, it's going to run you over. All right, next, Fab 5. These are the top 5 actions I'm going to take. This could be a pop by, where you're dropping by to a client, visiting them, maybe dropping off something. It could be giving flowers to your wife. All right, because in our affirmations and goals, it embraces our whole life. Okay, this isn't necessarily just real estate here that we're talking. This is our whole life. So if that's something that comes into your mind when you're sitting down here thinking, what are the top 5 things I can do to further my goals? Because remember, you just reviewed all your affirmations and your goals. And if you read the one that says, I have a great relationship with my wife, and you felt a tinge of guilt because you've been neglecting that, then that should be something that goes in your top 5. If you feel a tinge of guilt with one of your clients that you haven't called back because you don't have good news to report and you're hiding from that, that should be one of your top 5 things to do. Sometimes these top 5 things are things that we've been avoiding or things that are difficult, but once they get done, they clear up our emotional palette so that we can, again, re-engage with the world and take the world by storm. They also, a lot of times, help us from getting into more serious problems later on. Okay, so we've got the top 20 things, people we're going to call, and the top 5 activities we're going to do that day that will get us towards our daily goals. All right? And again, you've got to have those daily goals written down already in front of you with your affirmations in order for this to happen. At the end of every day, we're going to take time to record in our success journal. And this, again, we referenced this in another training, but there is a recipe for success here. You want to identify 3 things that you did really well. All right, maybe it's a great script, maybe it was a great presentation, maybe it was just handling a difficult person with grace. List 3 things that you did really well that day that you want to continue as a part of your business. All right, and then list 1 thing that you can improve on. And again, it could be your script. Man, I blew my script today. I need to spend a little bit of time on that. I need to call my broker. I need to go to a training. I need to figure out a proper script. Could be my presentation. My first listing presentation, 2.5 hours long. That was ridiculous. Even my own neighbor wouldn't sign with me. I've got to go to a training. I've got to figure out what I'm doing there, and I've got to trim that down to 30 minutes. Maybe I didn't handle somebody difficult with grace. And I think, you know what? I need to pay more attention to that self-improvement book that was mentioned in that last training, because I lost my cool today and I'm not proud of myself for it. All right? Everyday success journal and notes. This is the part where if I jump back to our PowerPoint here, this is the part where we're tracking our activities and results, and we're having a moment of truth with ourselves, okay? And again, it's an important part of every business out there, that they track their activities and results and they have this moment of truth. The next form that we're going to look at is some of the tracking. All right, you should be looking at now. Hold on, I've got to oh boy. I think you guys might be able to see it, but I can't. I've got to, there we go. Okay. Next, you should be looking at this real estate goal checklist. This is going to help us with our honesty with ourselves. Are we really working hard through the day? Are we doing the right types of things? Okay. So every week we have one of these. Every day we have a daily planning form where we make a plan of what we're going to do. And then we keep this in front of us, and every week we make a new one. So our goal is 300 points, and you can adjust this however you want. When I got the sheet, it said 200 points. I didn't think that was enough. I put it to 300 points, and we have no trouble hitting 300 points a week, okay? I get 5 points for a call. And now this is a contact, not a call. So if I'm making a whole bunch of calls and leaving voicemails, this doesn't count, okay? All right, somebody just typed in, I came in later, these sheets you will share with us, they are shared already as a part of the webinar. So if you go to your webinar dashboard panel, there are 3 handouts there, and you can copy them from there, all right? So I just go through here with hash marks, all right? Let's say I made my 20 calls, 20 times 5, that would be 100 points. If I just did my 20 calls a day and didn't have anything else happen, I'd get 500 points a week, all right? So 300 I think is very reasonable. If I'm working with my farm, I'm out knocking doors, then I got 5 points for those. This says per hour. I would again make it per contact, okay? So for sell by owners, 5 points for each of those. If you're just sending out a mailer, you get 1 point for those. Adding names to your database, 2 points per name. The reason why I put these in here, a lot of these came with the form, but a lot of them I've tweaked myself. If you want to tweak it further, that's up to you, okay? But I tried to put on things here that I thought would be the most productive. All right, so adding names to database, I think it used to be giving out business cards, and I don't see any value in that at all. What I want to do is I want to acquire information. So rather than me giving out a card, I say, well, give me your name and number, and I'll contact you. Okay, now I'm going to contact them every month for the rest of our life. So I get 2 points for that. Thank you notes sent out. Open houses 15, preview homes. Attending office meetings or classes, attending the webinar today. Y'all got 10 points today. How does that feel? Maybe I made a call up here. I get 5 points for my call, and I set an appointment. I get another 10 points for the appointment. On Tuesday, I go out on the appointment, and I sign a buyer agreement, okay? Then I go out later on, and I do some showings. Let's see, showing buyers. Okay, I get 10 points for showing buyers later on Thursday. We make an offer, and I get an offer accepted on Saturday. There's 25 points, and 4 months later, I can close it and make 50 points. So basically, this is how it works. Keep track of your day. Keep track of the numbers that you're spending. If you need to adjust the total points upwards, then I think there's definitely room for that, okay? Because somebody working full-time tracking what they're doing could easily hit over the 300 points a week, all right? So how to use all 3 of these forms together? Again, we've got our daily form where every day we are making a plan. Then we've got our weekly form that I just reviewed, where every day we're recording the results of our day's goals and activities, all right? At the end of every week, we then go back to our monthly plan and we record our results. So I see that I made, because I've been counting it on my weekly checklist, I made 50 calls that week. Now my goal was 100. So I got to have a little bit of honesty with myself right now. And I either got to change my ideal week schedule and put more time into prospecting, or the different time of day that I'm doing it, but I need to make those adjustments immediately. I don't want to wait 3 months or 4 months or a year before I go to my broker and say, man, this just isn't working for me. My wife tells me I've got to go get another job. Okay? You should know it's not working for you after 1 week, and you should be making adjustments immediately. All right? So weekly, I'll just write, and you could draw, a little line here so that you got 4 weeks. But I did 100 contacts this week. Next week I did 50 or whatever. And then at the end of 4 weeks, I record what I got for the month. And then every month I'm going to print out a new form, and I'm going to have a running total for the year that I've got. I'm also going to track and see here, and so it's going to be right in front of me, how successful am I between the goals that I made and moving towards the income that I want. I made 100 contacts. Did I get, that's a weekly appointment goal. That's supposed to be 2. Okay, that's 8 appointments a month to get 4 clients. Man, I saw that and I'm like, holy cow, that's a lot of appointments. I made 20 calls a day, 100 calls a week. And did I get my 2 appointments or not? All right, again, if not, I can tweak it. If I did, fantastic. Out of those appointments I got weekly, did I get any clients that week? I should be getting 1 new client a week. And how many deals am I closing? All right, so again, this just tells us if our plan is a solid plan. If it's not a solid plan, then make adjustments to it. All right. If this were me today, I would have a different income goal. My transaction goal is a little bit higher than this, along with my monthly closing. My daily call goal is actually a little bit less than this. Okay, so I can close more transactions with less calls right now because of my time in the business. So this is going to fluctuate with you as time and experience changes in your business as well. All right, so don't be afraid to make edits to it to work for you. But this is what I did the first year that I got to $100,000. This was what my goals looked like. All right, this was the exact thing. And I did it, and I focused on it. And the agent that came to me and said, I need to close $100,000 in my first year, I said, this is what you have to do. And he said, okay. And he went and he did it. And his business changed quite a bit too. I remember asking him 4 months later, are you still making 20 calls a day? And he says, no. He says, I'm on the phone probably 40 or 50 times a day, but they're not outbound calls anymore. There are a lot of people calling me. And I said, okay, be careful of easing off the gas on that too much, because if you wholly start to rely on people calling you and you're not doing some outbound calls, then eventually it's going to fizzle out and dry up. And he took my advice on that and closed 57 deals in his first year. So anyways, this works. Now, I don't know if you guys have heard this story as well, but this worked twice for me. When I first started out in real estate, this was my goal. I got to a point as a broker where I had over 100 agents. And at the time, Equity had a policy that said when you get to 100 agents, just focus on your agents and be a non-competing broker. Don't do real estate deals yourself. And I was the first one that hit that in Equity. And so I turned my business over. I disbanded my team, and I gave my whole database away. And I went 4 years as a non-competing broker. And after 4 years, I realized as a trainer, I didn't have a clue what the market was doing. All the forms had changed. We'd had updates on paperwork that I wasn't aware of. I was ineffective as a broker and a trainer. And so, and in that time, Equity had grown, and we'd had 2 or 3 other people hit 100 agents in their office. And so we had changed this policy. You don't have to be non-competing. And in fact, I think it's a poor policy, but you know, hindsight's 20/20. And we just learned that, you know, you're more effective as a broker if you're out there doing some real estate yourself. So we changed our policy and said we won't directly compete with our agents. I know I just closed a deal last night, should get paid on it today, where I actually, I listed a home, somebody called me on it, I met them and showed them, and while we're talking, I'm like, so do you guys have an agent? Because, you know, they had to sell another home. They said, actually, we do. And I said, oh, who is it? And they named the name, and I'm like, ah, that's one of my agents. And I said, I don't compete with my own agents. So that's great. Have them help you sell that home, and they actually had them help them buy the home as well. So I willingly walked away from I don't know, $8,000 in commission, because I have this commitment to my agents, all right? Whereas if it had been anybody else, then I would have used my sales skills and tried to get them to work with me, all right, and save that $8,000 for myself. But anyways, I'm not sure where I was going with that whole background story. Oh, I remember what it was. I went non-competing for 4 years, and after 4 years, I decided I need to get back in the business, and I came back, and it was a little bit of a gut check moment for me. Here I've been training on this for now, I don't know, 7 or 8 years, and I hadn't done any of it for 4. And I thought, well, I'll test myself. Does this actually work? Hear what I've been telling people for so long, does it work? I know it worked for me 7 years ago when I started. Would it still work for me? And guess what I made my goals? This right here. I made the same old goals again. I want to make $100,000 a year from my own transactions, regardless of what I'm doing as a branch broker or a principal broker or whatever else. I want to generate this much from my own transactions. So I started making 20 calls a day and started tracking my results from that, and it worked. That year, I mean, it didn't take me any time to build up. That year, I closed over $100,000 in real estate, just in addition to everything else that I was doing. So I know this works, guys. It's a very simple business plan, but you are treating it like a business. You're making goals, you're tracking things, you've got budgets. So I'm going to, let's jump back to our little PowerPoint. I just want to thank you guys for taking time to join me today. I hope some of this was valuable for you, that it helps you. I hope those forms help you. Again, please take time to download the handouts from the webinar here so that you don't email me and I have to spend a whole bunch of time emailing people back. You can download them right from the webinar. If you have questions, comments, or feedback, please feel free to email me, brokerericlee@gmail.com. If, for those of you that are typing thank you, you are very, very welcome. I appreciate you joining me today. If, as I've referenced a lot of my other trainings, if you want to go see those as you're building your business plan, please go to YouTube, type in Elite Agent Training, all as one word, and you'll be able to reference all of those trainings here. So again, thank you for joining me. I hope you guys have a great day, and we will see you next week. Bye-bye.